Excellencies, distinguished personalities, great leaders, great friends, I will save the welcome and address and get straight into my points. I have 5 messages, very quick messages, this morning for you. And I am always reminded by Winston Churchill, who once said, the greatest lesson in life is to realize that idiots are sometimes right. So even if I'm an idiot, I could be right. Number 1, I would like you to avail yourself of my book about the future reality, which I provided the conference with copies. It's just come out, it's been published. I wrote a book on the brave knowledge world. It's the perception of how we will be living in a few decades, and at that time our grandchildren will think that we are today in the Stone Age, because we will be living in a completely different world, and I wanted to present this realistic future in this book. Number 2, I addressed the Arab regional meeting on education, and I said I want to sue the educational system of the world. Universities and schools are not providing our generations, the young generation, with the right education. In the knowledge age, there is nothing a teacher can give to a student which is not already on the internet, which has already been seen by the student. Our universities graduate students who are job seekers, and most of them are unemployed. What we need is education to graduate inventors, innovators. And this is what we do at Talal Abu-Ghazaleh University of Innovation, which started its programs this year. And it's the first of its kind in the world where you don't sit for exams, you don't listen to teachers, you invent. And if you don't invent, you don't graduate. Number 3, I want to say very briefly that I applaud the choice of themes for this conference. Global peace and development. There is no hope for global peace and development in this knowledge age. On a panel discussion like this, I had the honor of being with Bill Gates, and we talked about this future, how we are to transit into a better world. And the consensus was that after the knowledge age, maybe at the end of this century, we will be moving into what we call the wisdom age, where everything we do, everything we invent, every discipline we create will be directed for goodness and not for success and not for profit and not for power, but for the benefit of the people. Number 4, global sustainable development. Global sustainable development can only be achieved through a global system of no trade barriers and no trade wars. It's a waste of time about talking about the future. Having served on the strategy board of the World Trade Organization about the future of trade, I can say that this can only be achieved if we move from protectionism to liberalization, and that's something that unfortunately is not happening. I would like finally to close with a very unhappy prediction. And again, you may take me for a fool. I am predicting that in 2020, the world will go into a very serious economic crisis. That crisis would end up with what we call in the economics stagflation. Stagnation with inflation. It will hit the whole world in different ratios, as a result of which the predictions, and I'm quoting research centers basically in the US, and I thought it was my duty to create awareness about this. The research centers of the US predict that as a result of this crisis, we will be heading towards the Third World War. It's inevitable that this crisis will have to end with a war, because wars end with agreements. And there are leaders in the world who believe that we need a new world order, and therefore we need to have a war in order to sit down and draft these agreements. That should be a new world. And unfortunately, it's coming tomorrow or after tomorrow. 2020 is after tomorrow. And remember that, as I say this, I take responsibility for what I'm saying, and I would like you to research it. And you can see the signs brewing all over the world, in every country in the world. There are social problems, economic complaints, and everything that will end up and climax into a world economic crisis. I'm sorry to be so pessimistic, but I am not. I am optimistic. I think that this will bring a new era after this war. We never know how wars end. We know how to start them, but at the end, there will be a new, better world. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your honorary opening speech. And now, I would like to invite to the lectern Mr. Jacek Krustowski, the former Deputy Prime Minister of Poland, to make his honorary opening speech.
I would like to say that it is a success story. Cengiz, and permit me to call you with your first name as a friend. We have become close friends. Cengiz, you have proven that sustainable development is possible. In this summit, we have seen sustainable development over the years, 9 years that I have been serving here. And I'm very proud to say that Cengiz has proven also that it is possible to exceed yourself, because every year he comes out with being a better person and with better success. I think we all should applaud and salute Cengiz. دولة الرئيس فيصل الفايد، أنا فخور بأن أخدم تحت رئاستك بصفتي عضو في مجلس الأعيان الذي تشرفت برئاستك. شكرا لك. Feel free to take a copy of my book. It's available for everybody. If you're interested, I would like you to read this book and tell me that I'm wrong. To express myself in English. Excellencies, distinguished personalities, great leaders, great friends, I will save the welcome and address and get straight into my points. I have 5 messages, very quick messages this morning for you. And I am always reminded by Winston Churchill, who once said, the greatest lesson in life is to realize that idiots are sometimes right. So even if I'm an idiot, I could be right. Number 1, I would like you to avail yourself of my book about the future reality, which I provided the conference with copies. It just come out, it's been published. I wrote a book on the brave knowledge world. It's over the years, 9 years that I've been serving here, and I'm very proud to say that Cengiz has proven also that it is possible to exceed yourself, because every year he comes out with being a better person and with better success. I think we all should applaud and salute Cengiz. دولة الرئيس فيصل الفايد، أنا فخور بأن أخدم تحت رئاستك بصفتي عضو في مجلس الأعيان الذي تشرفت برئاستك. شكرا لك. feel free to take a copy of my book. It's available for everybody. If you're interested, I would like you to read this book and tell me that I'm wrong.
Buradayız efendim.
In the knowledge age, there is nothing a teacher can give to a student which is not already on the internet, which has already been seen by the student. Our universities graduate students. Say very briefly that I applaud the choice of themes for this conference. Global peace and development. There is no hope for global peace and development in this knowledge.
An important fall at the beginning of the 1930s, the Great Depression. But then, just 6 years later, is one where there is disagreement. And I disagree very profoundly with the previous speaker. And the reason, I was going to say this anyway, independently of what she...
I therefore remain an incorrigible optimist and am willing.
Mr. Khalid Nasser Al-Rudan, Minister of Commerce and Industry, Kuwait. Mr.
At the beginning of the 1930s, the Great Depression. But then, just 6 years later, you have a fall which is 2 to 3 times greater, and that is caused
Böyük fəaliyyətdir. Bu mübarizədə Türkiyə hökumətine və onun rəhbərlərinə təşəkkür edirəm.
Fırsat kılalım düşüncesiyle çıktık yola. Bu yüzden ben çok değerli abim, Başkanımız Sayın Cengiz Özgencil ile birlikte bu toplantının genel bir kültürün mensuplarıyız. O zaman dünyanın en eski alışveriş merkezi olan Kapalı Çarşı'nın bulunduğu bu güzel şehir.